team takes note of what they see in you rather than what they hear from you. Your body language, fortunately for Zoom, your body language is very visible. So please take care of that. Have regular communication. Your team members are as anxious as you are in this game. Mantra 2, most important. Cash is king. This is where everybody is struggling. Collect your money, look at your debtors, look at non-moving stocks, dilly-dallying debtors, obsolete inventory, recoverable advances. This is all time to study this. Anything you convert into cash. One of my clients used to say, when you see a box, you should see 2,000 rupee notes in that, not a box. So this is all cash. Conserve your cash. Look at CapEx. If you're looking at some expansion plans which were done before COVID-19, which I doubt, because pre-COVID-19 itself, before the global economy was not doing well. So the same thing happened with the 2008 global financial crisis. The global economy was not doing well. That's why we say nimittam in our language. Something hits and then it just kicks off. Make sure your banker is with you, with your requirement. Take control of your cash in your hands, review daily. One advice to everyone, not only startups, do a scenario exercise, what we call a sensitivity analysis. You look at a very optimistic scenario, realistic scenario, and pessimistic scenario. I would rather suggest when you do your cash planning, go with the worst case scenario. One of the clients where I'm working, we had a Zoom call. He has assumed in the next 6 months, his sales will be down by 75%. And the entire planning cycle, is based on this worst case scenario. If it becomes better than that, fine, because nobody knows. So this is the time to do a specific analysis, or what we call as a what if analysis. And cash is king, which all of us know. Mantra 3, of course, manage costs. This I will tell you quickly my example of AVT Natural, when I told about Chinese aggression, and we were making some like 10 to 12 crores profit every year, and suddenly it became 6 crores loss, and we ran it for 2 years. And during that time, we studied this Chinese aggression, and I don't get into details, all that. That itself is another webinar. The first decision my chairman and I took was reduce fixed cost by 40%. Convert fixed cost into as far as possible variable. How can you do that? Is outsourcing. If fixed cost can be taken off your books and make it variable based on units of production, just imagine what good it will do to a crisis situation like COVID-19. It brings down your burn rate, and burn rate is a very common terminology used for startup, which means what are your fixed costs in a month? Can be employee cost, electricity charges, municipal taxes, interest, of course, which has been now, there's a moratorium. So mantra 3 is manage your costs. Don't let the costs slip out of hand. And mind you, in AVT, when we did this, it was a blessing in disguise. We really made ourselves very lean, and we were forced. It's like what Manmohan Singh did during that financial crisis, not financial crisis, the forex crisis. We had only 2 weeks of foreign exchange in our kitty for imports, and then he decided that we should reform and we should open up the economy. So we Indians are used to, when a crisis comes, we'll fight back pretty fast. So mantra 3, manage costs. Of course, this doesn't need any explanation. Digital gets a push. I'm telling you, even a die-hard brick and mortar guy like me, who was averse to this virtual conferences, I am now game. Wherever possible, I will do this because I can avoid my travel cost and be more productive. Let's get one by one. Work from home, WFH has gained more traction. Online meetings will gain acceptance. Brick and mortar companies also falling in line. This bullet, let me spend 1 minute on this. Gods and opportunity to drive efficiencies through digital. Let me spend time here. I was talking to one of my close friends in Calicut who runs a agricultural business. He has plantations. He was telling me, Mr. Kumar, last 14 days has been the most efficient days for me. I said, what happened? Because every other day he used to go to his plantation. It's about 1.5 hours drive from Calicut. He used to take his car, drive himself and go. In the last 2 weeks, he has stopped that. He is now having Zoom calls with his manager And his manager is also very happy because many times the productivity goes up when the boss is not there. It can be the other way around also. But at the same time, what this friend of mine told that, look, I am seeing the efficiencies. Can we drive higher efficiencies through digital? Of course, this calls for increased investment in enabling technologies like cloud computing, data, and cyber security. Mantra 5. Of course, this again, I talked to one of my customers for one of my earlier products when I was working with AVT. He told me, Kumar, your products, you know, some of our customers in Europe and US moved to China as a sourcing country. So he was telling, those customers are today telling him, look, Mr. X, I will come back to you to buy it from AVT India. Basically because they have done their business continuity plan. Can we depend on a single origin for my raw material procurement? So it's a godsend opportunity for India, despite we may have a marginal cost disadvantage. But if we do all this mantra on cost reduction and all that, we may be better placed to fight. And Narendra Modi's plan of Make in India has not taken off. But I feel post-COVID-19, if government gives the push, this may be a dream coming true in terms of Make in India and we become a manufacturing hub. There are signs coming. The balance of power will shift from West in a significant shift to India and China post-COVID-19. But this is going to take time. This is not going to be happening in 6 months. I'm talking a little long-termish. Number 6 is like what WHO told when COVID-19 broke out: test, test, and test. My mantra 6 is for all of us: communicate, communicate, communicate. Even to the extent of having an overkill of communication with all stakeholders is needed. Here I quote our Honorable Chief Minister, Pinarayi Vijayan. There are some people who are always, you know, whatever the administrator does, they will find a fault. They are having daily press conferences. What is the use? Keep on talking the same stuff. I watch his press conference for gaining knowledge and information. And brilliant. It's a no-nonsense press conference. What is he doing? Even at the risk of an overkill of communication, he is still communicating to his state. He is communicating to the whole country. Brilliant. So I would say, as business leaders, even if you over-communicate, for example, startups, you have an angel investor, or you have a private equity, or you have a venture capitalist who has put money into your business. It's better to prepare and communicate in an open, transparent, candid way. Please go for overkill. Communicate, communicate, and communicate. My last mantra. This is one of the things which we have been discussing. In fact, I am part of the task force of Confederation of Indian Industry in terms of making representation to the state government and central government. Today morning we had a task force meeting, and tomorrow at 11 or 12 we have the Zoom call with the Chief Minister. One of the things we talk here is, you know, the interstate movements. So I'm just a little digressing here, but the supply chain resiliency is very important. When I say communicate, 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 that includes your suppliers. You know, take them into confidence. Are they in a state of readiness to bounce back when the situation normalizes? It's a very key, important question. So my last mantra is supply chain resilience. I had an interesting webinar yesterday with the Women Entrepreneur Network. We had about 70 women entrepreneurs yesterday, and Mr. Balagopal, IAS retired, who is the founder president of TiE Kerala, and myself, two of us who are in the panel. And I would take this opportunity with Balasan's permission to present these do's and don'ts, what he presented in yesterday's webinar. First point, don't be in self-denial. Don't underestimate. Don't say that, okay, what, this is a virus. Yeah, this will come and go. No, we can't be. Don't listen to this pundits. I would say that if you see anything, unless you check its authenticity and reliability, please don't listen to these local pundits and so-called armchair experts on COVID-19. Nobody is. Obey what government and authorities and experts say. Plain and simple. Because many times we get carried, oh, COVID-19. Oh, WhatsApp messages come. Please, don't do that. You know, don't default on your regulatory payments like ESI, PF, because you will be cash trapped. There's no doubt about it. So this is very good, very essential that you don't delay this because you will get into trouble later. I'm just rushing through this. Don't stop sending paychecks to your employees. This is very easy for me to tell, and there have been a lot of discussions in CII. Okay, 1 month is fine, and I agree. If I were running my 2 companies at this juncture, really we would have struggled for cash. Okay, government can say keep on paying your employees. Where is the money? Your revenue is totally cut. Okay, but at least those people, I know the bigger companies, the large size companies have reserves, so they can continue paying this. But for other companies, maybe put employees into confidence and then pay in installments, so that hopefully things slowly will come back to normal. We don't know whether it will be a U or it will be a V or it will be an L. It cannot be an L because it's already tanking and will not continue like that. Hopefully, maybe a elongated U where there will be a long period of stagnation and then it starts going up. So you have to wait for that particular. Okay. Stress test your business, which we already covered, especially your receivables. Call your competitors. This is what Balasan told yesterday. Call your competitors. I used to do this even during good times because from aggressive competition to cooperative competition was the mantra I used to follow. You call your competitors. You are not going to disclose your business secrets, but be in touch with them what they are doing. It will be interesting. Be in touch with the industry associations. Like I told you about CII, they're doing a brilliant job, getting in touch with authorities and working very closely with them. Keep 2 to 3 months as cash reserve. Well, ladies and gentlemen, when I say that, you will say you are a real consultant, you are just an advisor. But if you can, just think about it, at least to, like what Balasan says, your priority is to stay alive for next 3 to 4 months or even longer. How do you stay alive is the question. Continue dialogue with your customers, and we are all depressed now. We have social distancing. We are not meeting our friends. We are not meeting our co-workers. But don't forget the customer. There is a way to be in touch with them. If you have any questions on this, you can directly address to Balasan. I hope he's there on the list of participants. He confirmed to me today he will be here. So let me come to the last part of my slide. This is just a snippet. Since I'm a family business advisor to family business owners, this piece of advice came from one of my family business clients. If you're planning to pass on the mantle to generation next, maybe to your brother, maybe to your sister, maybe to your son, maybe to your daughter, this is the right time. So ask this particular family business person, why do you think so? He had a logic. Things have become so bad. It has really, in that it has dipped. So if my son or daughter can manage this catastrophe, he will manage any time. So I only had again, we all give advice. I told Mr. X, please be careful. Your son is only 24 years old. It needs your advice. You can push him to the well or to the tank and let him learn swimming, but ensure that he doesn't drown. I get this point because when people are asked to manage this kind of a situation, this will be the best thing to do. Good. I think that's it. This is my last slide, ladies and gentlemen. Once India overcomes this COVID-19 successfully, we hopefully will be sitting on a great opportunity to become the global hub for manufacturing and services. We are already doing well in services, but let us be prepared. I again thank TiE Kerala as well as large number of participants. I'm seeing here on the slide now, we have 152 people listening to this interesting conversation. And I hand over back to Nirmal, our Executive Director of TiE Kerala. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
So we have a few questions. I will unmute one by one.
Yeah, Nirmal. Yeah. Yeah, please go ahead.
Mr. Prashant, can you go ahead with your question?
Hi, Mr. Kumar. Thank you for the enlightening presentation. I'm a dentist practicing in Dubai. we as dentists, we have a lot of people who have self-owned business, and as professionals, many of our dental clinics are closed for the next 2 months. We are only allowed to do emergency procedures. Uh, in the meanwhile, how do you think we can get out of this catastrophe? Because we have our own payments to be done, we have our staff, we have our overheads, our equipments are lying out there without use. How do you think we can get out of this once we come back? Is there any set protocol that we should follow once we are back? Because we are looking at a dip for the next 6 months. Patients are going to be wary coming into the dental office. The ENT surgeons and the dentists are more prone to COVID because we deal with the throat directly. So we're looking at a slump from the patient's point of view for the next 6 to 8 months. How do you think we can handle this? Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Prashant, it's a very valid question. See, for example, I mean, in the case of dentistry, it's not like an emergency unless there is a surgery. This is something where it's a what do you call? It's not something which a person has to do it. He can postpone that. So in that case, for you, basically like whatever I told during my talk, is to look at your cost structure. Can you become leaner?
Yeah.
Conduct some online courses, which can be paid courses. If you have a lot of very modern, advanced equipments, start some online learning platforms. Not on a free basis, but I'm sure if you have that kind of a setup, that can be a revenue stream.
Right.
But be in touch with your customers. I mean, I'm sure you will have a CRM in your dental practice, customer relations management. Be in touch with them. And people, see, I was talking to one of the industrialists in today's call. He says, look, manufacturing can bounce back, especially in Kerala, because we have this, people who understand Malayalam, Adidi Thoilaligal. This is coined by our chief minister. Adidi Thoilaligal means Namade Assam and Bengal and Bihar and Orissa. They're called Adidi Thoilaligal. That's a very good way. People who don't understand Malayalam, they are our guest workers.
Yeah.
Adidi Thoilaligal has not gone back mostly. I mean, Kerala government has done a good job. So this particular industrial was telling we can start manufacturing quickly back because our Adidi Thoilaligal are still here. But his question was that, who will come and buy my product? Where is the money? So we are suggesting to our Honorable Chief Minister tomorrow, we have to look at something in terms of increasing the demand, increasing the consumption. So coming back to your question, there's no magic wand, Dr. Prashant. You have to look at making yourself slim in terms of cost. And we have to, I hope, I know Dubai is closed for another 2 weeks or 4 weeks. So let's hope for the best. I mean, this will start normalizing, but as I told you, it will be a U slowly going back.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Nirmal.
Yeah, the next one is for Mr. Ajayan. Mr. Ajayan, can you go ahead?
I have no questions now. I'm just listening to now. Thank you. Right.
Okay. Mr. Kurian, you're next, if you can go ahead. Mr. Kurian Jose.
You can do one thing, Nirmal. People have raised their hands. Are they calling out names? People have raised their hands. Otherwise, I see quite a good number of questions in your Q&A box.
Yeah, there are a couple of questions in the Q&A box too. Next, Mr. Manjunath, are you able to speak?
I think there are quite a lot of questions here. We can start answering the for
Mr.
I think
Manjunath
I'm
is
able to
there.
speak now.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, Kumar, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Manjunath.
Yeah, it was a really good explanation that you were able to take us through. So just to give other participant about my background, I'm working for the food industry, part of OSI Group in India. We are a food for solution provider. Kumar, last few days that I've been interacting with the whole community of customers, suppliers, vendors. One thing which actually is coming to my mind, which probably would have been there in front of you, or would have come across you also over the last few days. That what happens to, especially in terms of how do we handle and how do we forecast the cost part of it when it comes to the back-end supply chain, because that becomes a very major part of the operating cost, one of the major operating costs. So overall, the the feel is coming from a lot of vendors and suppliers that their capacities would go down, and they will have a lot of costs which are going to be built onto the product. So naturally, there will be higher expectation of the raw material or their services costs. So what do you think would happen in that regard? Any thoughts or any forecasts or any ideas in that regard?
Manju, it's very, very difficult to predict anything at this stage because we ourselves don't know how long this lockdown goes. As I told you in my talk, you live in Mumbai. Mumbai is likely to confirm the third stage of COVID-19. It's very scary. So I mean, coming back to your suppliers or the back-end supply chain, Manju, okay, the capacity utilization definitely will come down. Your fixed costs will go up, but none of these suppliers will be able to pass it on to the customers. That is very clear. Because unless the demand, unless in that U curve, prolonged U, it goes on to that and then the demand picks up. Difficult times for all of us. I mean, so let's take it going and let's hope that things will get normalized later. Yeah, Nirmal.
Next one is from Mr. Ajit John. So Ajit, can you go ahead?
Hi, Mr. Kumar, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure, Ajit. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Good evening. I own and run a digital marketing company. So for us, things were on an opportunity side for us. So we had a couple of projects at the same time. We didn't have certain projects at all. So for us, the risk right now is that we did have a business continuity plan, and the issue with us right now is the collections. We are not getting money in flow while we have new clients coming in and they need more marketing support for their awareness and all those things. So the cash flow is a problem for us. Even if in the business continuity plan we had cash reserves, it just went out when we came to understanding that new clients were coming in, and we had to burn more marketing money for different suppliers, that is publishers to us. So what is your take on how could we better the collections? A lot of the clients is not able to issue the PO because the lockdown has come. The checks are not getting signed. The big players have usually checks being signed and the cash coming in. So how do we do this? Is there a online transaction figure coming up as a possibility for big brands, or how do we deal this kind of situation? Thank you.
Yeah, Ajit, again, since you are in the direct marketing space, digital marketing space, we have to wait for the turnaround to happen as and when it happens. But coming to cash flow and collecting debtors, if you are in business for a very long time, you will know which clients are genuine in their saying that there will be delayed payments. So as we told, as the Bala Science presentation also, do's and don'ts, do a stress test for your debtors and dilly-dally debtors. And you have to make this cash flow projections based on that. In terms of, I'm sure you are not, I don't know about your company, but if you have been in business for some time, you will know if somebody says, okay, Ajit, I will pay you by 15th April, he pays. So you have to a clear, what you call, estimate, doing a stress test for your. I think there's some echo coming.
Yeah, the next question is from Indu Menon. She's already online, I guess.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Kumar. It is very interesting listening to you. Now, so I work in the handloom sector of Kerala.
You are the...
Yes, yeah, you know me. Yeah, I'm from Karavis. Yeah, okay. Now the thing is that, see, I mean, there has been a steady increase in the wages in Kerala. We've been noticing, which has affected the rubber industry, which has affected the coir industry, which has now slowly started affecting the handloom industry also. Because we are finding it increasingly difficult to find a market with this kind of increased labor in these industries. Now, I hope that, very soon there will be some rethink about this, because it'll be so good to get back all these trading industries back into action, like rubber, handloom, coir, which are almost being impacted by the high wages. So I hope, so that, if there could be a good trade-off between the wages and, so that we could also work out a very amicable pricing and capture the Indian and global market, So that is what is actually ailing our industry currently. So what suggestion do you have to, now to rethink about a trade-off in the wages that is so high in Kerala?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm not saying that we should slash the wages down, and because even as a trader, I am willing to compromise on my, my margins so that I capture more market. But then I should be. So should the wages also be worked out in such a way, so that there is some kind of, government intervention to see that there's a balance in everything.
I don't know. I mean, when we discussed with the CII task force today, it's like something big is coming to support the micro and small enterprises who are employing. I don't know how many, but you're doing the handloom thing. I know you well. You've been quite successful in your digital marketing as well. One is, of course, you yourself answered your question by saying that let me compromise on margins in these times of testing times, number one. Number two, what I hear in the next day or two, the central government is coming with what is called the protecting the workers. I mean, there's some subsidies going to come. I mean, this I think, I hope it comes, because definitely there is a big issue cropping up here. CII has represented. So let's wait for some positive news as we go along. So, but your digital marketing, since your business is highly digital, I hope you are still in touch with your customers, and then it's not business as usual, but at least something is happening. Am I right? Okay, I find we'll take it offline with Indu. Yeah, Nirmal.
So we are actually overshot the time. If you can take in some of the questions in the Q&A section, some of them, one or two, it will be quite good. We are already crossed 6 o'clock.
Yeah. Oh my God. There are plenty of questions, but I don't know, since we are already. Okay, let me just read. Anil Balan mentioned that thanks for your time. In the current context, advertising industry is going to be in disaster. I see you. What are your thoughts on where the brands would move their funds other than online digital medium? They are in the ad tech space, and hence this question. Anil, yeah, this is what we normally say, but there are companies, the bigger companies take a stand. The last thing to cut is your advertising outlay when you face a crisis. But today's crisis is so bad. I agree with you, but there's something which I have no magic wand and absolutely have no specific answer. So there is one from again Arun Jain. I'm in big confusion. Most of my employees in my concern are 15 to 18 years old. Some of them are family-like. Their salaries have gone up from 15,000 to 60,000 in the last 50 years, even by increasing 10% increment only. My salaries are too much. What should I do? Oh God. Excellent question, Arun. I have come across this, for example, one of my clients who is in spice processing, the driver's salary is about 35,000 bucks, because he started, and then same reason what you told. The only way is to upskill them. See, you have started paying and you have given 10% increase, which is in line with inflation. Now, what you do when you come to this stage, for same job, whom you are paying 60,000, you can hire somebody from outside at, maybe I am just making a guess. I don't know what type of employees you have, what sort of skill levels, maybe for 15,000. But people who have stood with you for 15 to 18 years, you can't let them go. It's absolutely inhuman. So my thought at that point will be like, can we upskill them? Can we give them specialized training so that their value addition in your company will be better. I hope I have answered, Arun. I'm just quickly running through some of the interesting questions. Sudhir Balagesan asked a question. Hi Kumar, I am IT sales and in cybersecurity field. How does India market not get affected when the India business depends majority on outsourcing? Sudhir, if you are on IT sales and cybersecurity, we talked about Zoom. You know Zoom. Eric, Yuan had gone through a big issue when Zoom started in 2011-12 with regard to security. And he had the wrath of the US government. So answering your question, this is one area in cybersecurity, maybe, and also you can do WFH, work from home, maybe a godsend opportunity to be sort of on top of the situation. Lots of information. This is from Mohammed Moulis. Oh, I can't answer this. Lots of information artificial intelligence is published as post-COVID or trend. What's your take on the same? What are relevant, essential, specific skills required for employees to avoid layoff? I'm sorry, Mohammed. I don't know whether some of our charter members who are on the attendance, can any one of you answer? So Nirmal, are there any of our charter members who are in this field to answer Mohammed?
So we have Balagopal sir. Balagopal sir can join the call.
Balagopal is still on the line. Balasan, can you answer?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, Balasan, can you answer this question? Is it possible?
What is the question, please?
The question is like this. Lots of information on artificial intelligence are published as post-COVID or trend. What's your take on the same? Which means the questioner is asking, is artificial intelligence going to be the thing post-COVID? What are the relevant, essential and specific skills required for the employees to avoid layoff?
I mean, quite frankly, I didn't see the connection between these two, but I mean, I see artificial intelligence applications growing. There was already a big trend, and probably like most other trends, there will be a very sharp increase in the uptake of some of these new technologies like and platforms like artificial intelligence. So that is going to happen. As far as the impact on jobs and is concerned, I think there are going to be two kinds of impact. One is the short-term immediate impact, and that's what you and I yesterday, what we were mainly speaking to the women entrepreneurs about was, how do you survive the next 2 to 3 months? Now, I think, you know, probably businesses in our state and in our country are not probably paying enough attention to this part of it, because this kind of total shutdown with factories idle, customers not buying, etc., has never happened before. So nobody has any historical, it's not a question of a downturn, it's a question of nothing happening. Now, in such a situation where the cash registers aren't ringing, where money isn't coming in, etc., now you're going to be, organizations are going to be digging into. So in such a situation, unfortunately, what's going to happen in most cases is the first temptation for most managements will be to cut production. I mean, to close the factories, close the shops, and send the workers home. And that part has already happened. So now about what happens post this thing when production resumes is going to be very interesting to see. Imagine a factory, say, let's imagine 2 factories in Kerala. I'm just talking about this workers' layoff specifically. 2 factories, and both of them were, say, heavily dependent on migrant workers. Factory A looked after all its migrant workers. They continued to stay in the dormitory, the cafeteria is working, the medical services are working. You know which factory I'm talking about in Calicut, you know?
Yeah.
So, and take another factory which didn't care at all about their migrant workers, just shut shop, lowered, down shutters, and these people had to fend for themselves. Now, when production resumes, who do you think is going to be able to resume production faster? Who do you think is going to be up and running probably the next day after the factory starts? I don't think we have to really think too much for that. So in a place like Kerala and many parts of India, which were factories were heavily dependent on migrant workers, I think they will all have to ask themselves the question, did they do the right thing by shutting down, by not bothering about the workers, or not worrying too much about what happens to them, and then worrying once they started leaving and going back home, etc. Whereas some companies, and unfortunately they are a minority, have taken proactive steps of looking after the workers in spite of the production having been shut down, because those are the value systems of those companies. So I think worker layoff, worker return, and workers showing up for work once factories restart is going to be a very interesting situation with post-COVID.
Thanks, Bala. I think that's been a very pertinent point. Like people or companies who have taken care of their Aditi Tulaligal, to use our CM's language, they can kickstart the manufacturing quite fast, provided this interstate movement of raw material is taken care of. A very, very, very nice comparison. I fully agree with you. I see that there is Sunil Gupta. I don't know whether he's still online or he's gone. One of our CMs who will be able to answer Mohammad's question on artificial intelligence more clearly. Sunil Gupta, are you there?
So he's exited. I think he's not. Yeah.
Oh, there are a lot of questions, but I don't mind extending it by another 5 minutes and then take some of the other questions. Okay, Jacob Joseph Johnson. We may redefine the essential commodity supply chain. For example, I need to purchase a laptop very, very urgently, as I work on COVID-19 control algorithm medically. Unfortunately, I was not able to make it. Even Amazon is not working. And as it is a very, very urgent commodity for me to fight against coronavirus spread, will you please recommend to the government to lift the ban against e-marketing channels like Amazon? Brilliant. We will definitely bring it up. But this is again has to go to the national government. Tomorrow, as I told you, we have a Zoom call with our Chief Minister. Let's see whether this topic comes up. It's only 1 hour call. We already structured our discussions. But it's a valid point. I think the e-commerce is practically shut down now. You don't get things. And I also tried to order something on Amazon, say delivery on May 15th. What the hell? I mean, so I fully understand, Jacob, this. But we will from the industry, like what Balasan mentioned earlier, you should also take it up through your industry associations to be heard. Tips on ways to keep, this is from Tarun Kohli, tips on ways to keep own employees, vendors morale high. Lead from the friend Tarun, and let's be optimistic, because let us not be as leaders doomsday predictors or armchair critics or armchair experts, because we don't know this enemy yet. Deepak Verghese, specifically with regard to Kerala, how is the economic task force seeing it? How is the executive arm preparing for it? We have remittances that fall short and not coming back. An early insight into that. Very valid. You just heard our dentist friend from Dubai talking about shutdown. So people are not getting paid. This, as I told you, some quantitative easing in terms of both central government has to do a major role. So basically, I think we should wait for some level of quantitative easing kind of stuff to come in to take us out of this. I think we are running absolutely short of time.
That's right, sir. I think if you have any further questions, you could shoot it to the TIE Secretariat. We'll be sharing the presentation with all the attendees. So you'll get a mail from us very shortly with the presentation.
There is one last question which is very interesting.
Sure.
So this is from Ravi Nair. Which of the 3 scenarios you think will happen? I hope scenario 1 happens, Ravi. But I am not, though I am an optimist, I am not such an optimist to say that our GDP growth in 2021 will be 5.3 to 5.7%. But if things straighten out by April end, as KPMG scenario 1 says, you can't rule out. India is a resilient country. We have we have, lot of potential which is hidden. So I would only answer, I don't know, any other charter member wants to answer this interesting question. It's the last question. Which are the three scenarios? Bala, you have any take on that, or any other charter members?
No, I have no take on that.
Okay. So I think, Nirmal, we can close it. There are plenty of questions which I'm unfortunately not able to take it on. But again, thanks. We can still see 99 people still online, which shows a great interest in this subject. So as Nirmal mentioned, any questions, try to shoot it out to the TIE Secretariat. We'll be more than happy to answer that. Over to Nirmal.
Thank you, sir. Before we wind up, I request TIE Kerala President, Mr. Ajit Moopen, to propose a vote of thanks and conclude.
Am I on screen, Nirmal?
Please go ahead.
Okay. Am I visible?
Go ahead, Ajit. You're clear.
Okay. Hi, everybody. It was a very engaging and vibrant session by Indian Vice President Mr. Kumar. I was also given the duty to sum up, but I think we left with not much time. So thank you very much, MSA, for giving us this very engaging talk. And incidentally, I must also say we had this transition of leadership also in the virtually in the COVID time. So we are yet to have a formal ceremony. And to the participants, I thank you all for attending in good numbers. And the best of it is it was a very interactive session with great questions coming in there. Sorry that we could not answer all of your questions, but we can probably answer them offline. I thank you very much for this active participation, and would also like to point you towards the next program, an interesting one coming up on Saturday, 11th of April at 11 a.m. is the Financial Management for Entrepreneurs in Challenging Times. This is by the senior partner of Varman Verma, Mr. Vivek Govind, who also happens to be our charter member. So that's it from me. Thank you very much. See you in the next program.
Thank you, everyone.